So we were talking about the genre, the subgenre. We know the genre is literature. This one is a little tricky. I want to see if someone can figure it out. And I'll take a couple of hands and then I'll reveal it to you if we cannot get it. Subgenre. All right, Kamari, what did you and your partner talk about?
Me and my partner.
Thank you for tracking.
Me and my partner said I thought it was nonfiction because it can relate to all of us. It could be true. It could be true in our life. Because if it was fiction, it would have been fake.
Well, it is. The story is not based on true events. This is not a true story. So it is literature. So we were correct when we said literature, but I want to know the subgenre. The subgenre. Khalil.
Is it an opinion subgenre?
A what subgenre?
Opinion?
No, that's not a subgenre. I'm talking about subgenre meaning like historical fiction. We did a lot of that this year, right? Christian, what do you think?
I forgot what it's called, but I'm pretty sure it was called realistic fiction.
Realistic fiction? Well, now think about it. Now, most of our stories, like I said before, has a problem and a solution. This one doesn't really, right? We didn't have a problem or a solution. So based off of that, I would call this, even though this is in book form, I would say the subgenre is poetry.
What?
Is that what you said?
Yes!
Awesome job.
How?
Awesome job. Who's your turn and talk partner?
These two.
Did she talk about poetry? Very good,
She said
Victory.
it had some rhythm.
Yeah, yeah.
Dude, this-
So think about it. What makes this story poetic? What makes it poetic? What are some features in here that tells us, wow, this could be a poem? All right, Victory, since you said it was poetry, what gave that away for you?
What gave that away from me is the rhyming words in the story.
The rhyming words. There were some words that rhymed. Did the story rhyme the whole time? No, but he threw them in here and there, right? He did. I noticed that. It's rhyming stories. Mary Carmen? Oh, that's okay. We're not going to worry about that right now. Okay, Khalil?
It had stanzas.
Well, they're sort of like stanzas, right, for each page. So this is kind of like a long poem that has illustration in it, right?
And it had lines.
Right. Well, it has lines, and these are considered the stanzas. Let's take a look. I think Khalil pulls up a good point. So we have lines that are 4 or 5 lines apiece, right? And then he has, at the end of some of this, like on the second page, that's my word, right? He kind of he signs what he's saying almost, right? That's my word. And then he says, Dark Caesar, right? So he's kind of signing off, like, I'm stamping that. Signed by me, right? All right, so definitely poetry. We don't have a real problem and solution going on in here. It's pretty poetic, right? We have some words that rhymed, correct? Okay, but for the most part, it didn't rhyme. So, can we now infer that a lot of poetry that we may read may not necessarily rhyme? Can we make that inference? Yes, yes. All right. So let's talk about what's going on in the story, this sort of poem that we read. Why does the author emphasize the different types of haircuts? Why? Let me go back. I'm going to go back. I don't want to jump to that too soon. We talked about the poems, right? And how it's poetry. So let's go back to our story structure, or our literature or text structures over here. Who can tell me how they think the author has organized this text? How did the author organize this text? Was it description, compare and contrast, cause and effect, sequence of events, problem and solution? Think about it. So 10 seconds of thinking time. Go ahead and think. And as you're thinking, I'm going to read a couple of pages again. When it's your turn in the chair, you stand at attention and he'll drape you like royalty with that cape and keep the hairs off your neck and your princely robes. It's amazing what a tight fade, high-low ball does for your confidence. What's going on right here? How is this structured here? Santana.
Cause and effect.
Cause and effect. I agree. What is the cause? Who can tell me what is the cause? Peyton.
The cause is when he says when you walk in your like Olympic play, and then when he's done with you, he turns you into a beautiful piece of art.
I agree. Do we agree? She says the cause is structured cause and effect because when he walks into the barber shop, he's a lump of clay. He's a slab of marble, just waiting to be molded, right? His haircut is waiting to be done, right? And then when he's done, right? Then he has all these fresh cuts, right? So the cause is he's going into the barber shop, but the effect is what? What's the effect of his fresh cut? What was the effect? Santana, since you said cause and effect.
The effect of his fresh cut was that it was he enjoyed it.
He enjoyed it. He had, what did the text say? He had swagger, text evidence, right? He had swagger. What else happened? You might smash that geography exam tomorrow. He says it hooks up your intellectual, right? So the cause is getting a fresh new haircut. The effect is your swagger. You feel more confident. You go to school like I can conquer anything, right? You're a star, right? You just feel so good. Look at all these effects. Then he goes into describing how you're gonna get your hair done, right? And the effects here, what's another effect that he talked about? What is another effect that he talked about right here? Promise?
They talked about the girl body.
They talked about you're gonna even get the girls to like you. They're gonna say, oh, he's so fine, right? That's an effect of your fresh haircut, right? Who knew that a haircut could do all of that, right? The whole school will be seasick from the rolls and ripples. So your waves are going to be so tight, right? That the whole school is going to notice, right? Look at all these effects of a fresh haircut. Then he describes more people, right? The cause is a fresh haircut with the deep parts and the skin fades. This guy might own a tech company. He looks that important, right? This guy looks majestic with his haircut. He looks that important, right? All from a haircut, right? Look at those lines. He looks fresh, right? He has a river named after him on Mars. Who knows? He looks that important, right? Lots of effects, right? So do we get it? So the genre is what class?
Poetry.
Literature. The subgenre is?
Poetry.
And the structure or organization of this text is?
Cause and effect.
Cause and effect. Very good. All right. So, why does the author emphasize these different types of haircut? Why does he name all these different types of haircuts and emphasize all these designs and lines. Why would he do that? Why would he do that, Mikai?
I think he did that to the little boy
Thank you for tracking.
that was going to that was getting his hair cut can see how good they look and how good they look, how good they are after they get done with their haircut.
So the confidence, right? How good they feel after they get a haircut. So I see some really nice haircuts in here right now. So how many of y'all say, you know what, Miss Jordan, I need to go to the barbershop, and I know every time I leave that barbershop, I feel great. How many of you guys feel good after a fresh haircut? I know my kids do. Connor's just like, he walks out strutting in a better mood. Yeah. So, yes. So the author, we have a treat here because the authors normally do not state why they write what they write. But this author did. Derek Barnes wrote why he wrote this book, why he wrote what he wrote. So we don't really have to make an inference. It says a note from the author. So I'm going to read that, and I want you guys to understand why he wrote this book. Why did he write a book about a barber shop and a kid going to a barber shop and getting his hair cut and him feeling good about that? So before I read that, why would someone write a book about this? A boy that looks like you and me, that has that experience in the barber shop. So Leia?
The reason why the author wrote that is because he probably thought that we do the same thing too.
Right, we do the same thing. Who wants to build on to what Saleha said? Take Heaven.
I wanted to go on to what Saleha said. Also, I think the author probably wrote this book because maybe he wants maybe he knows probably that we feel more confident after we like get our hair done or
Or get a haircut.
yeah, and it boosts our confidence.
It boosts our confidence. Okay, so excellent. So yes, you guys are very close. And before I spill the beans, I'm going to go ahead and read the note from the author. Let's understand why he wrote this. I'm waiting on one scholar to look up. All right. So it says, a note from the author. And this is by Derek Barnes. He's writing this. Mr. Tony was my barber in the 6th grade. I was trying to get to write for the interruption again.
She paused it. It was for she paused it with the hair.
Oh, my book. So from the author. Mr. Tony was my barber in the 6th grade. To get to his chair, I rode the Prospect southbound Metro bus to 63rd Street every Thursday. The day of the week, my mother would leave $8 on the kitchen table so I could get my hair cut. Walking out of that shop, I never felt like the same kid that went in. I couldn't wait for Friday mornings so that Carmela Swift, my girlfriend, could see how perfect my box shape up. I knew she'd bug out about the 2 parts on the right side of my head, which in my mind made me look like Big Daddy Kane.
Oh wow.
Big Daddy Kane was a big rapper back in like the 80s and 90s. Right? There was no way she'd resist my ruler straight hairline, a precise frame from my smiling brown 11-year-old face. That fresh cut made you even more handsome. It made you smarter, more visible, and more aware of every great thing that could happen in your world. So he's talking about the confidence that he had when he walked out of that barbershop every Thursday, right? With this offering, I wanted, here we go, his reasoning. I wanted to capture that moment when Black and brown boys all over America visit the shop and hop out of the chair filled with a higher self-esteem, with self-pride and confidence, and an overall elevated view of who they are. The fresh cuts, that's where it all begins. It's how we develop swagger, and when we begin to care about how we present ourselves in the world. It's also the time when most of us become privy to the conversations and company of hard-working Black men from all walks of life. We learn to mimic their tone, inflections, sense of humor, and verbal combative skills when discussing politics, women, sports, and community, and our future. So basically what he's saying right there, he's saying that that's where you learn how other Black men communicate, what they talk about, how they talk about it, and then you begin to understand, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. Understand? And really, other than church, the experience of getting a haircut is pretty much the only place in the Black community where a Black boy is tended to treated like royalty. So basically, he's saying the only place other than church in our communities is where Black boys are usually treated highly, right? Crown, an ode to the fresh cut, focuses on the humanity, the beautiful, raw, smart perspective, assured humanity of Black sons, brothers, nephews, grandsons, and how they see themselves when they highly approve of their reflections in the mirror. Deep down inside, they wish everyone could see what they see. A real life, breathing, compassionate, thoughtful, limitless soul that matters, that desperately matters. We've always mattered. That is beautiful. So from the heart of the author, he wanted everyone to understand the experience of a Black boy in a barbershop. The same experiences you have, right? A place where you can go in and you see other men from all walks of life. CEOs, presidents of companies, teachers, doctors, lawyers, they all go to the barbershop, right? Black men, right? And it's not like, oh, I'm going to this barbershop over here because it's so expensive. Most of the time, we're at the barbershop with the hole in the wall, right? Because that's where they cut the best hair, right? Yeah. Everybody's in there. And it doesn't matter at that moment how much money you make, who you are. You get to see examples of men, Black men from all walks of life. And you understand that you have a place in this world, and you understand that you matter. Okay? So who's gonna have a different perspective the next time they walk into their barbershop to get lined up, to get their fresh cut? If you're going this weekend, and you know you're getting your haircut this weekend, who's going to have a different perspective in the future of what the barbershop experience is for you? A couple? Okay. David, what do you think your perspective is? Loud and proud. What's gonna be on your mind the next time you go to the barber shop? You're gonna feel happy you're getting a haircut, you're gonna feel fresh and nice. So when you go to the barbershop, do you feel like you matter to your barber? Do you feel like you get to hear those different conversations in your barbershop? And the men that come in there and they talk about different things, hopefully they're talking about positive things, right? Do you ever feel like, I wanna be like that one day? When you go to the barbershop, is that the experience you have? Who else has that experience when they go to the barbershop? Who else? Christian, you do? Okay. Kamaya, your hand is up. What do you wanna say?
I've been to a guy's barbershop about 2 or 3 times maybe. And it really did feel good. I saw one of my cousins, they were getting their hair done. I was like, oh, could I have one too? But I was kind of 4,
So you were young.
and he just said really good.
Oh. All right, and Corey, what do you wanna say?
I wanna say when I get mine, I just feel happy.
You feel better about yourself, right? You feel happy? Herbert? When you get a haircut, you what?
I look way better.
You feel like you look way better with your haircut, right?
Sure. Agree.
Yeah? Khalil?
It's like when I go to back in 2nd grade when I had a mohawk, every time when I got to the barbershop to get
Your sides faded?
I actually felt like a new man, and after that me, my dad, and probably my cousin will always just go get something to eat.
Okay, so you celebrate after, right?
Kind of.
Awesome. So that's the end. We're gonna go ahead and cut it off now. How many of you guys enjoyed this book though? I got this book from the book fair, so